What is up, my beautiful people? I am here back feeling lovely as usual. I wish all of you guys peace, love, light, and healing energy. I want to thank you for watching this video and, of course, subscribing yourself to this channel and tuning in. We are all one. I truly appreciate it. But today I am here with a topic of the soul disconnection, or the disconnection of the soul, or an emotional defect overall. Now, I had took some notes on a mentor of mine. He goes by the name of Young Pharaoh. I'm sure many of you may know about him. If not, you should definitely go subscribe to his channel, tune in, and of course take some notes. He is a very great mentor. He is very informational. His entire channel is very helpful for me. So I do advise you guys, but I took some notes on one of his older videos, and he was speaking on the emotional defect, or the disconnection of the soul, and pretty much how it is caused and what is the causing of it. Now, to begin, to jump straight into it, the emotional detachment that you are, the more emotionally detached that you are, the less you are spiritual. Now, what typically causes emotional detachment is how you were brought up, or the situations that you have took place within your life as a child, your household, so on and so forth. But emotions are like meters. So being that you are your emotional attachment is connected to your spiritual self, your emotions are like meters. It depicts how present you are and how connected you truly are to, of course, your higher self. Now, tragic situations that was done personally, which I mentioned before, causes ejection from the soul. Which I mean by tragic situations, once again, the household, growing up in hellish homes. I guess school can definitely be one. Being bullied, abused, raped, so on and so forth. It can cause a ejection from the soul because you are emotionally abused, or you were emotionally abused, as well as physical or mentally. Now, by you being emotionally abused or broken, it causes an ejection from the soul, which then leads to suicide. You have what some people call people on autopilot, which is where you are pretty much just so far gone from your soul connection that you are just soulless or lifeless or heartless. Pretty much just you have no emotions because you have no hope. Now, the soul, having no soul, pretty much you have no self-respect, you have no self-love for yourself as well as others. That pretty much ties into the ejection of, leaving the soul, or disconnecting from the soul, rather. So going through these traumatic, physical, mental, and emotional abusive situations, going through these growing up, it can have a total toll on your it can take a toll on your soul connection. Now, the emotions, or having no emotions, having self-hate, having soul disconnection, being autopilot, having anger. That's why you have rapists, murderers, child molesters, abusive boyfriends, abusive girlfriends, mentally or physically. Simply is because of how they were brought up and how disconnected that they were. So beating each other up physically and mentally is just as powerful as let's per se growing up in an abusive home, or being touched when you were growing up. So it all has an effect on your emotional state as well as your mental state. So your psychotic mindset or psychotic mindsets then leads to what we know now as lost souls. The stimulation of so much wickedness, pretty much, and evilness that was within that household, or even, like I mentioned before, outside, as far as school, social media, yada yada whoop, it can cause beings to be heartless or hard-hearted, which will then cause for your higher self to detach. Because why would love want to be connected with hate? If you can't forgive, then you will hold hate within you, or greed, or excuse me, not greed, self-hate, as well as lack of understanding because you didn't forgive. Which I can't say, oh, forgive them because I'm not in your shoes. I don't know how you feel, but forgiving and understanding that you cannot change the past, and that it had to happen the way that it happened. Sadly, no matter what it was, it happened, and that you can't change the past. Holding on to that will further cause a detachment from the soul. That's why people say, I've been through hell, I've had it, life is full of ups and downs, life's a bitch, life can be hard, life is too hard, which some people want to subject or eject themselves from life, which by eject I further mean suicide, which is never the case, but life can be quote unquote hell for many because of how hard it is emotionally, and that they can't further control their emotions. So it's either you learn how to swim or you drown, in a sense. Now, excuse me, when something is constructive or nurturing to the soul, then, or growing up in a healthier environment, aka the house, the home, school, having a stable emotional support system behind you, can better then construct a soul connection, or can lead to a better soul connection or a healthier emotional state. Now, some people just feel like there is no hope at all because they did go through these terrible things growing up, and they did have to experience these things. We all had to go through something. We all went through something terrible. Some may not have, but some of us did things that we regret. Some of us went through things that we regret. Some of us still have yet to get over some of the things that we have done, so on and so forth. But holding on to that emotional draining and detrimental situation then causes a soul disconnection. So simply just not wanting to be here, whether it's through TV because you see these people having the best lives that they possibly can, they're projecting these high style or high maintenance lives where they have these fancy cars, these big houses, they're at parties, they're with their friends and their family, just smiling with all this money. Your music you listen to, they can be subjecting you to this lifestyle that they have, which then further deepens your depression state or your emotional state. You may see a magazine of like a celebrity maybe, or these fake idols that we look up to, or that you may look up to further harm your emotional state as well as your mental state. And then social media, of course, is definitely a harmful what's the word, distraction. It just brands and advertises these perfect people, and everybody just has this perfect image. Everybody wants to just seem as though everything is just super wonderful and that there is absolutely nothing wrong with them and that life is just so perfect. But all of these fake idols pretending to be mentally, physically, and emotionally stable, which in fact is a hoax or a lie, is just further creating you to have a darker mindset or a darker emotional state. So we are being tricked and manipulated, which is further draining and detrimental. So by us just being subjected to all of these things, like I previously mentioned, the music, the social media, the all these idols that we look up to or that you may praise, by you using your physical two eyes to see and not your soul to see, you then lose hope. And when you lose hope, you have no hope. You become heartless, you become careless, you become hard-hearted, which then, of course, disconnects you from your true higher self. So in order to stay connected or have a soul or become conscious of who you are, is to become conscious of who you are and then become conscious of where you are and all of these things around you that are created to keep you stuck, trapped, and distracted. Which I previously made a video on that, and I will be speaking on that very soon again, about the distractions that are around us and how we are subjected to this matrix and how we are manipulated as well as tricked and kept in an infant state. But moving forward, so we've basically all been through something in our lives where we just aren't proud of, or where it's hard to let go, even it's hard to forgive. Maybe for some people it's just hard to understand why it had happened to you, whether it be you being touched by somebody or you being in a simple fight at school. It is all things that happen in life that can trigger or further harm our emotional state. So some of those things we do become so unrighteous, and some of the things that we also subject ourselves to as far as unrighteous things and unrighteous acts and hanging with the wrong crowd or just using drugs or whatever is unrighteous to or unorganic to this planet, which is then causing harm to your physical self, your flesh, as well as your mental and spiritual body. Our higher selves disconnect from us, from the soul, so you are then disconnected. By you participating in all of these unrighteous acts or these hellish acts, your higher self will take a step back. So that's when you then disconnect. And some people are so disconnected that they are just lost. And that's where, once again, you have these people that are known as lost souls, because they just don't know. They have no hope. And they gave up. Most people who have lost souls don't even want to physically be in this realm anymore, because they are just so far gone and lost that they don't even, see greatness. So to basically decode disconnection or explain disconnection from our higher selves, the analogy that people use now, if you are religious or if you are Christian, so on and so forth, the analogy, the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit connects to what I am speaking on. So the Father in this situation would be the higher self, which is our light body, our ninth dimensional body. The sun is the flesh, which is the suit, this suit that I'm wearing, this body, the physical body, this flesh. And then the spirit is the soul. So we are just an extension of our higher light dimensional self in this sun, the flesh. So depending on what this physical or depending on the emotional state of being, as well as your physical and mental state that you are in, will depict on your connection with your higher self, as well as your soul, of course. So depending on the emotional state that I am in, as well as my mental state that I am in, which is determined by the way that I was brought up, determined by what has happened to me from a child to now, will then depict your connection with your higher self. Now, that doesn't mean just because you went through all of these hellish things that, okay, I'm so broken that I'm totally disconnected from my higher self and there's no way of getting back. No, that is not the case. And that is where forgiveness comes from, and further accepting what has happened and accepting the fact that you cannot change the past, and pretty much just letting go and reconnecting with your higher self in forms of meditation or eating right, subjecting or ejecting yourself from this matrix and becoming more in tune with your higher self. And there's multiple ways to do so. But to get back on topic, guys, so depending on how your emotional state of being is, as well as your physical and mental state, will pretty much depict your connection with your higher self or your soul self, most importantly, and you are then no longer in tune or connected. So going based off that will determine your connection with yourself. Now, I'm going to use myself for an example because I'm not perfect, or I am not separated from anybody else. I'm not better than anybody else per se, but I made mistakes in my past too. So being that I haven't been this person that I am today, this higher self being that I am today, it proves that just because you were brought up in a hellish like home, or that you were subjected to all of these evil tasks or wicked situations, as well as participating in them, because just because it was projected to you doesn't mean that you didn't have the will to want to do so. So yes, I may have agreed to do some of the things that I did, but being that I did do that and I was in those types of situations and those types of negative things did happen to me, all in all, I still came out on top. You get what I'm saying? So if you have been subjected to wickedness and evilness growing up in your household or your childhood, or just maybe recently, there's not, all hope isn't lost. So reconnecting, forgiving, moving forward, accepting the past, and just having that soul connection and seeking truth, as well as bettering yourself mentally, physically, and emotionally, will further reconnect you to your higher self, aka your soul. So our environment in our household that we grow up in, is so hellish that it causes that separation. But like I said before, guys, I hate to regurgitate, but I have been this entire video just to, kind of explain and help you guys to better understand or understand what I am saying, as well as understand what I am saying. So forgiveness is key. letting go is key to this re-soul connection. If you do feel like there's no hope, if you do feel lost, if you do feel heartless, hopeless, cold-hearted, the list goes on. If you just have been subjected to hatred for a certain period of time and it has damaged you mentally, physically, or emotionally, and you feel like it has had a effect on your spiritual self, yes, forgiving, letting go, and accepting that you cannot change the past is key. Reprogram yourself, guys. Better yourself, change, and you will see results. If you are alive, there is hope. Hope is never lost. So, rewind emotionally, even though you can't physically do it emotionally, do it mentally, and change, let go, and forgive. It is basically the re-soul connection. So this is my message to you, whoever is out there who needs to hear this. I know somebody's out there who needs to hear this. There is hope. All hope is not lost. And yes, you can forgive, you can let go, and you can then be free. Anyways, guys, that was a quick lecture, and I just wanted to elaborate on the effects on your childhood as well as your emotional state of being and your physical state of being, whether it be negative or positive. So yes, without further ado, thank you so much for watching this video. I love you so much. Peace, love, and light.